Alright, so I've been plowing snow for quite a few years now. Alright, over the years I've known some people who've tried to get into snow plowing and only did it for a season or two because they weren't successful at it or they weren't making money. So let me go over a few tips that I really feel helped me be successful at snow plowing. So I'm going to start by talking about my pickup truck and what equipment I use on it and what stuff I carry with me, and some of the other trucks I've had in the past. Alright, so I'll start up front here. I'll talk about this snow plow. This is a Western 7.5 foot snow plow. I've had quite a few snow plows over the years, and this one is by far my favorite. The things I like about it are, I like a lot that the whole blade trips instead of just the edge, because all the ones I've had were just this bottom edge tripping. They never seem to work nearly as well because sometimes they would trip, they wouldn't plow the snow as well. They would never back blade the snow at all. This one works great. You can pull up to a garage door, put this plow down, and back up, and it'll actually plow the snow. The Fisher I had were just the cutting edge tripped. That thing wouldn't back blade anything. Didn't matter what the snow was. It would just pack it down. I've had a few different plows over the years, but they've all been straight plows. One plow I had, I made the mistake. It didn't angle. You had to get out and pull a pin, manually angle it, and then put the pin back. That was too slow. That wasn't worth it. So make sure the plow you get angles. A lot of people are running V plows where they pivot in the center so you can make a V like this. You get more containment when you're cleaning up windrows, and you can V the other direction and get a little more power when you're pushing through for your initial pass. But honestly, I feel the straight plow works completely fine. If I was getting a brand new plow, there's plows on the market, they have what's called a wide out, and what they do is they can get wider, and then you can angle the wide thing in and do like a chute for containment. So the advantage of them seems tremendous. So that way when you're plowing and you're sending it all off that way, you put the chute out here as like a wall, and then that way you have no snow spilling over the end. So if I'm ever buying a new plow, I'd probably buy one of those. Another great feature of this plow, it's got this shock absorber on the cutting edge, so on the blade, so when it trips, it's really smooth. It's not violent on the truck. This metal Western unit here, this thing always works. I've had a few other plows where I was always working on that. Make sure if you're buying a plow, you don't get one of those cheap ones. There's some of the cheap ones on the market that get lifted up by a winch. That just doesn't work. I've never had luck with winches lifting snow plows. The cable always gets tangled up and messed up. So make sure you're getting, hydraulic setup. This rubber edge I added here as an accessory. It goes between the cutting edge and the blade. This thing does a great job because it doesn't screw up people's gravel like just the straight cutting edge well. Alright, so messing up people's gravel is a real good way to annoy your customers. So it's best not to do that. A few tips not to mess up gravel. Those few slushy storms you get early in the year and late in the year when the ground isn't frozen yet, don't plow those, because sometimes you'll go out plowing that slush on a gravel driveway and you'll end up plowing more gravel than you do snow. So I usually just text the customer, hey, it's a couple inches of slush. I don't think we should plow it. It's going to be warm in the next few days. Let's just not do it. And usually the customer will appreciate that. A few tips too, look at the driveways beforehand and look at where you're going to plow the snow. Don't plow big piles of snow on people's lawn right around their building, because you'll end up plowing some gravel, and a pile of gravel in their lawn right around their building looks bad. If you can, try to plow all the gravel away from their building, and leave it, for their parking areas, leave it on the very edge of the parking area. That way a pile of gravel in the springtime on the edge of their driveway is a lot easier to fix than a pile of gravel in the lawn. One great accessory I added to the snowplow was this flap here. This is just a piece of conveyor belt, and this is just bed frame that's bolting it down so it doesn't rip off. And this is nice. You can plow a lot faster with this. Some of the private roads and stuff I do where they're a mile or so long, I'm not plowing 5 miles an hour the whole time. I'm usually going, 15, 20 or faster. And what this does, it keeps the snow from blowing up over the plow and blowing into your windshield and you can't see. So I'll talk about pickup trucks. I feel a 3/4 ton pickup truck this length is like the ideal truck. The ones with the much longer wheelbase, they don't turn as sharp, so you'll have a harder time getting in people's driveways. And I'm not a big fan of using like a dump truck to plow, because when you're plowing, you're backing up a lot, and you really need to be able to see out of your truck. So having a dump body where you're only relying on your mirrors to see behind you, it doesn't seem ideal to me. That's the same reason. That's another reason I don't have a sander too. I know my customers occasionally ask for that, but I feel like it would just block the view out of the back window, and I just don't want it. All right, and as far as picking out your truck, I usually like to get the cheapest 3/4 ton truck you can get. I don't like having like a nice truck because you're going to beat it up snow plowing. I take a lot of hard driveways where, they're narrow and there's trees, and sometimes you end up into the trees. So having a nice truck, would be frustrating. Plus the salt really rusts them out really bad. As far as options go in the truck, I like to try to get as few options as possible. This truck has the smallest motor you can get, and it's got no AC, no cruise control, nothing. And that is nice because with the small motor and none of those accessories, there's a lot of room under this hood, and it's a lot easier to work on. I think this is a 5.9 liter gas engine. This truck also could have came with a 10-cylinder engine, which is a lot bigger, and this truck could have came with a diesel. The diesels in these trucks are actually a really nice engine, but the small gas is fine. It starts easy in the winter. Tons of room to work on it. Make sure you get a 3/4 ton truck. Don't get a 1/2 ton. The 1/2 tons, it's the same size vehicle. It's just all the suspension and everything is just a lot weaker in a 1/2 ton. So there's really no reason to get one of those. So I carry a ton of tools in here, but another thing I carry almost every fluid that you'd use in the truck. It's motor oil, ATF, the plow hydraulic oil, the antifreeze, power steering fluid, just everything. You never know when you're going to need some fluid. Keep everything in good condition. These antennas have to be there. Make sure you inspect everything pretty often. Make sure none of the pins that hold the thing in place are falling out. Just look at all the hardware. Make sure nothing's wearing out and about to break. All right, so let's talk about tires here. So I usually like to get the most aggressive tires I can for snow plowing. Usually like a mud terrain or something with a lot of tread. And you can see these tires, there's a lot of room between the treads. They're pretty worn down now. I'm actually like on like 5 or 6 seasons with these. But that really helps. I'll usually go a couple sizes bigger. I think, for example, these are 285 75 16, and the truck is supposed to have 245 75 16. So you can tell these are a little smaller, and don't go too big because then you'll start to decrease the performance of the truck. Usually get the studs in the tires too. That makes a big difference on ice. Really gives it a lot more traction. So the studs, though, you have to take them off. I think it's April 15th, and you wouldn't want to use them all year anyway. And the other reason too, these aggressive tires are great, but when you're just driving around on roads regularly, you don't need it. They're going bald a lot faster than just a regular set of all-terrain tires will. So I don't like putting the bigger tires on in the summertime, is because 90% of the time I'm towing a trailer with this truck, and sometimes it can be pretty heavy, up to 5 tons. And having the stock size tire on, the truck accelerates so much stronger and it brakes a lot stronger and actually steers and it just handles better with these tires on it. I know the truck certainly looks a lot cooler, with bigger tires on it, but it just doesn't work better. One accessory added to this truck was all these lights. This nice wide light bar in the front. It's about the width of the whole truck. That thing is great. You can really see what you're doing. Plus the lights facing to the sides and one facing to the back. Wintertime, the days are shorter, so it's always dark out. Plus you're working long hours, and you're in people's driveways that you're not familiar with. You really need to be able to see every direction. So these are definitely worth adding. And the way you hook those up, I use a high-low beam switch out of like an old car, and then your left foot, which normally isn't doing anything, on, off. That easy. So that way when you're driving down the road and another car is coming, you can turn it off that easily. Then I usually add, you know, a amber beacon is nice. You know, if you're in parking lots and stuff where there's going to be a lot of people, you should put a bigger one on than that. But at least something is better than nothing. Then I have lights on the sides and a light facing towards the back. All right, we're sitting in the truck in the dark right now. So here's the headlights. On the camera, it doesn't look like anything, but you know, I can see in front of me. Here's the light bar. So there's a pretty big difference. Now here it is out to the side. Now if I turn on the side lights, same thing out the back. Here's the truck with all the lights on. It's very nice to be able to see every direction when you're out snow plowing. Add a screen to protect your back window. You know, really pickup trucks should come with that from the factory, but you know, that glass is expensive. These screens aren't. So definitely one thing in the back of your truck, one piece of cargo sliding forward or tipping over could break that glass. And you know, you'll wish you had that screen. The thing I don't like on trucks is when people have those tinted windows. Those suck. You can't see out of those. You know, definitely don't have tinted windows if you're plowing. As far as tools go, I try to carry basic hand tools and, you know, sockets and just stuff. You know, that way when the truck breaks and I'm out plowing, I can at least fix it. Sometimes I do carry some spare parts a lot of the times when I'm plowing, and if something breaks and I have to buy a replacement, I'll buy 2 of the replacement and then I'll carry the spare one with me. For example, I have extra hydraulic lines, I got extra plow pins, you know, I've got extra, you know, a lot of extra stuff. You know, I don't carry it all with me, but you know, anytime I usually have to buy a part, I'll usually buy 2 of them. And I'll keep the extra one in my garage. You know, if it seems like it's something that may break again, that way I don't have to go to auto parts store or have to order something and not have it for a few days. Because when you're plowing, you gotta be, you know, everyone wants their driveways plowed immediately. So you can't have your truck down because you're waiting on some part. All right, I'll talk about some of the stuff I carry in my toolbox here. So, you know, like jumper cables. Make sure jumper cables, you get a good set, you know, the thickest gauge wire you can. I think these are like 1 or 2 gauge because the thin ones just don't carry enough amps. These jacks are great. You can pick up, you know, something really high with this. You know, it's got a lot of travel. You can use it as it come along. I've gotten myself unstuck with this jack quite a few times. You know, always carry a few chains. You know, get a 3/8 grade 70 chain with this type of hook on the end. A lot of people don't know this. When, you know, I'll see people all the time, they'll try hooking it like this. These hooks go like that. That work. That's how that goes. You know, I carry like, you know, like a socket set. Monkey wrench, hammer. Nice to have that type of jack. Shovel. This is a very good recovery strap here. This is 30 feet long, and I think they actually rate this at like 10 tons or something high like that. So these are nice because they have some give to them. And say if a vehicle's really stuck, you can use this and get like a running start. And that running start with this thing that has give, because the chains don't have any give, it just jerks. These are, you know, it's like a bungee almost. So you can pull vehicles out with this pretty well. Yeah, and there's more stuff in here. It's like shovels, hammers, ratchet straps, pipes. Another thing I carry in here is tire chains. Make sure when you get tire chains, you get a nice heavy duty set like this. Tire chains make a huge difference on ice and stuff. You know, that's like one of the best modifications you can do to your truck is have tire chains on. You know, if there's a lot of snow or something, you get so much more traction. I'll only run tire chains when I need to run them because they're a little annoying to deal with. Putting them on and off, and you can't really use them on like dry roads because it kind of destroys them. But you know, when there's a lot of snow and you're plowing driveways with steep hills, and there's ice underneath the snow, the tire chains are very helpful. You know, another thing is handy, always carry like a saw. You can cut through some pretty decent stuff with this. A lot of times if I'm going plowing and it was really windy the day before, I'll usually bring a chainsaw with me because you never know when you're going to come up to a fallen tree. Yeah, it's good to carry some of these plow markers with you. You never know when you're going to need to put one in. All right, so it's good to carry a shovel like this with you. And definitely carry a shovel like this. Make sure you get one shaped like this. I don't like the ones that are all flat. They don't do a good job. You know, this is usually like the perfect shape. And I've never liked the curved handle ones. I always get the straight handle. All right, so let me talk about this winch here. And getting yourself unstuck. So when you get stuck on flat ground, often shoveling around the truck and under the truck, you can get yourself out. If you're stuck and the truck slid down a hill, or it's in a hole, or it's somewhere crazy, usually shoveling won't get it out, and you'll need something like this. You know, I never have ever called like a tow truck or anyone else to help me get myself unstuck, because, you know, if you have to call a tow truck, that's expensive. That's going to eat into your plowing profits tremendously. You need to be able to get yourself unstuck. So something like this will usually do it. So I've actually been through quite a few different winches. The first few I had were mile markers. They were pretty good, but I killed them. Then I bought a few Chinese winches off eBay. They were like 280 bucks free shipping. Those never lasted that long. I just bought this Warren, this one being considerably more expensive, you know, than any of the others I've ever bought, and it's been fine so far, but I haven't had it that long. But the best way to mount these winches, I made this platform you put it on. It's got a 2-inch receiver on this side, so it can go into a truck hitch. And it's got these hooks, so you could chain it to a tree or something too. So you can put this winch anywhere you need to put it. I never like just mounting them on the truck permanently because, you know, one, then it's stuck in that spot, and you know you may not need it there, and plus the thing's out in the elements. And you know, how often you're really using a winch? You know, you don't need it on your truck forever. In a lot of cases too, you know, people have it on the front of their truck. You know, the plow kind of interferes with that, so you really can't have it there. So having it on a receiver like this is great. All right, so with it on the 2-inch receiver mount like this, you can slide it right in your receiver, and then put your pin in. And then, you know, you have your winch. You know, oftentimes when you're plowing, you get stuck, you're pulling it backwards anyway to get out of where you got into. So this is usually great for having the winch. I made this receiver. So this is another receiver here too. So if you wanted to put a ball here and have another trailer or a small trailer or something, you could. I mean, they sell these, but I've never seen one sold with the double receivers like this. But so more tips on this winch. You know, this pulley is a great accessory to carry. One, you can use this to change the direction of your pull, or you can double the power of the winch by so you would take this, hook this back to the winch, and then now you use this. And then this is what you pull from. And now this doubled, putting that pulley like that doubled the power of the winch. So they rate this winch, they call this a 12,000 pound winch. You know, that's kind of the size that's recommended for a 3/4 ton pickup truck. You know, usually it's strong enough. You got to make sure you have enough power getting to it too. So for power on this winch, what I just do, because it's easy, is I'll just take those jumper cables and I'll clip them right onto here and then clip them to the battery. That's why you really need the big jumper cables. And you know, that's easy. I mean, obviously it's nicer if you pre-wire the truck so there's a plug back here, or you could hide the winch in the bumper. But you know, that's a lot of work. So it's just, so I've just been running the winch like this. And I'll just talk about this bumper I made quick too. Usually the bumpers that come on pickup trucks are usually made out of like tin foil, and when you're plowing, I mean, it happens, you back into stuff. So every tin foil bumper I've ever had usually gets smashed in a year or two, so, and it looks like crap. So I made this out of a piece of C-channel and then put some diamond plate on top, and you know, you can back into stuff with this. and it doesn't get destroyed. It's nice. I put my trailer connector, you know, right here, and it's protected so this doesn't get smashed. Welded my hitch right to this, so you know, this is a nice solid bumper. You know, if you smash your original bumper, you know, don't bother replacing it with another tinfoil piece of garbage. Just get a piece of C-channel like this and make it, you know, curve the ends, you know, like this. You know, this needs a coat of paint again. It'll look nice again, but. All right, another reason why it's nice to have your winch mounted on a receiver, this is my utility trailer. And right here in the front, here's another 2-inch receiver. So I can put the winch right there and use that winch to pull things onto this trailer. It works great. And in those receivers, they sell just those square receiver tubes. So on all my off-road cars, I have a receiver on the front of all of them. So I can put that winch right here on the front of this SUV if I need it. Same with that SUV and that Jeep as well. And then that way I can share one winch between all my vehicles in my trailer. Alright, so let me talk about the outfit that I wear, because that's really important too, because if you're cold when you're out plowing, you're not going to be comfortable and you're not going to be able to do it well. So I usually, you know, I just wear the full Carhartt suit, so the Carhartt coat, the Carhartt overalls are nice. Alright, for the boots, I wear these muck boots. I swear by these things. You know, I wear these, your feet stay dry and warm all day in these. And that's walking in slush, snow. They're not heavy or anything, or hard to drive in or anything. So the muck boots are, I definitely highly recommend them. And make sure, I always get, you know, the Arctic Sports or get the Wetlands. I don't like the Chore as much. They're a lot cheaper and the quality isn't as good. Alright, so let me talk about walking on ice. These muck boots, they have great traction on the snow. You know, I definitely have no complaints with the traction of these things. But on ice, no rubber boot or any boot's going to have any traction. See, here's some ice on a hill. And, you know, I can't even... And look, I can't even stand on it or you know, no matter what I do, you know, you can't really get up that. So there's a few different things you can do to make it so you can actually walk on ice. So there's these things you can slip on your boots. Here's a set that's like chains, and here's a set with little spikes. I definitely like these a lot more. Here's the set with the chains. These just slip over your boots. And, so these help, but you know, I'm still slipping here. They don't give you that good of traction. So definitely don't get these. Alright, so here's the set. These have just little tiny spikes, and you wouldn't think these would do anything. But watch. So these slip on the same way, just like that. Work pretty well, they stay on there. But look at the difference now, me walking on this ice. You know, I can walk on it and stop. I can run. You know, look, I mean, these are like studs on your car tires. You know, you get so much grip on the ice. You know, I can walk around on this steep hill, no problem with these on. Yes, I don't know, it says Jordan David large. Yeah, definitely get these. There's little tiny spikes. Look at that. They must be carbide or something. Alright, another thing with your pickup truck. Pickup trucks are way too light in the back to just go out plowing with nothing in them. You really need to add some weight. You know, I don't intentionally add any weight here because I'm carrying, you know, all this gear adds up. You know, this is a 100-gallon fuel tank, and I usually keep that full. 100 gallons of fuel, that's like 800 pounds right there. So, you know, you really need the weight in the truck for traction. Alright, another great thing too, you know, is a lot of times people, they want their sidewalks done too, and you know, doing sidewalks is tough because, you know, it takes a lot of time, and you know, I'm trying to hit as many driveways as I can in as short amount of time as I can. So having this snowblower is great. You can pick this right up, no problem, put it in and out of the truck. And a lot of people think these little snow blowers don't have any power, but if you can find one of these, get it. It's a Toro Power Light. I don't think they make them anymore, but this is like the best snow blower. You know, it's just so light, it throws snow so fast. It's great. You know, those heavy ones, you need ramps to get them in and out of the truck. That's a pain. And this thing, honestly, this is the, you know what else is great about this snow blower? It's got these rubber flaps on them. So, you know, those metal ones, you'll get one piece of gravel stuck in there, you break your shear pins, and then the thing's not working. You know, this snowblower just works. This is like the best snowblower ever made. I've used a lot of snowblowers. This is the one to get. Toro should still be selling these things. They still sell new ones that look like this, but they're so much bigger. And, you know, I haven't tried them, but I don't think they'll work nearly as well as this. I got to double check, though, to see if these are still for sale. But if they're not, somebody should be making these. And, you know, and there's not a single hand control on this thing. You don't need them. You know, there's no throttle, no levers, nothing. Because all that stuff does is brake. It's got this one chute. You do that to angle it, up, down, it stays where you want it. This is the best snowblower right here. All right, another thing that's like a must-have, well, it's not a must-have, but I really think it's nice, is having a lift. You know, just take whatever money you were going to spend on your truck. You know, a lot of people I see, they spend $50,000 on a pickup truck. I mean, geez, just a lift like this is only $2,400. Just spend $2,400 less on your pickup truck and get a lift like this, because you'll have it for your whole life, and it makes working on vehicles so much easier. You can just pull it in here, lift it up, you can stand up underneath the truck, and it's just so much easier to fix it. And not only fix it, just to do maintenance, you know, and inspections too. You know, you really got to inspect your truck pretty often. You know, a lot of things that break down, you can catch them beforehand, you know, just by looking at the truck underneath it. And if you get a lift, this is my favorite type of lift. This is a 2-post overhead lift. Now, overhead means because there's cables that have to go between these lift arms or lift beams, whatever, and the other ones, there's a channel right here, and that channel is always in the way of a transmission jack or your drain pail for changing fluid. So, and overhead lifts, they give it more strength too, because that way the towers can't fall into each other. So, overhead 2-post lift. All right, when you're picking out your pickup truck, you know, I've been very happy with the Dodges, but you know, everyone will argue different brands forever. But one thing that no one's going to argue about, obviously don't get a 2-wheel drive truck. That 2-wheel drive trucks are just worthless. But make sure you get a truck where the 4-wheel drive shifter is an actual shifter. See this truck? That's 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, 4-low. And it actually works. Those ones where you push a button to shift it, 99% of it, I've never seen one of those that actually works, like ever. Unless it's like a brand new truck, you know, those aren't going to work on you. So do not get a truck that has push button 4-wheel drive. All right, for gloves, these are like the best gloves. They're really warm, and you know, you have good grip in them, but you can still do stuff.
Keeping your paperwork organized when you're out plowing is very important, and being quick with it is important too. So what I found works best is I will print out this sheet every time. So it says plowing 2017-2018. So then I fill it out as I'm out there working. So storm 1, then I'll put the date, describe the snow. So if you get, maybe it's a 4-inch storm, you know, you just write like 4 inches wet snow or whatever. So then I have all my customers here. So you have their address, their name, their phone number, and the price you're charging them. So when you go plow their house, you put a check mark. If they pay you, you cross it out. And then, you know, if they give you a check, like I'll write check and then the check number right here. and or any other details. Then, if you plow for them and they don't pay you, so I don't cross it out then, and then I can just keep going down the list plowing everyone. Now, on storms where it's not as deep, I'll usually text everyone to see if they want it plowed or not. So a lot of times people will say no, so then I won't give them a check, I won't cross them out, I'll just say I'll write said no right here. And then that way it's written down, so if there's ever any questions in the future, you know what you did. It's important to keep these in order. So you don't want to be driving all over the place. You want to put them like, say this one's maybe closest to your house, then this would be the second one closest to that, then that one's closest to that. You can't be driving all over the place. That takes a ton of time. And another thing that will happen is sometimes they'll call you, everyone wants their driveway plowed immediately and first. That's just unrealistic. You got to say that to people, look, I have a route that I stick to and I don't break from it no matter what. So, but you can try to put your route accordingly. So good tips for being at the front of the route, if you can help it. People with hills, for example, like my first house, they have a very steep hill, and it's an apartment building where there's like 5 cars and a lot of them don't have 4-wheel drive. So I kind of hit them first. Then there's a few other ones just because they're on the way. And then I have like this one business where there's a lot of customers in and out. So I make sure that one's towards the beginning of the list. Then you can kind of have all the normal people towards the middle, and then people you leave for the very end. For example, I have a few driveways where they're frustrating because sometimes I'll get stuck or break my truck because the driveway's crazy and the people won't even be around, or it's people with 4-wheel drive cars where they can get out if there's a little bit of snow. Put houses like that towards the end of your route. That way you're a lot more efficient. You can go get all the easy ones done. Okay. Another thing I do too, or another thing I see some people doing, which I don't think you should be doing, is they'll go out and plow like every 2 or 3 inches and then charge the customer for plowing 3 or 4 times in one snowstorm. To me, that just seems like, a very dishonest rip-off thing to do. You shouldn't be. Most residential houses, you can just wait for it to stop snowing and go plow. The one exception to that, if you're doing a business with a giant parking lot and there's a lot of customers there, you almost need to be continuously plowing that, or plowing it a few times, because plowing a huge parking lot takes a lot longer when there's more snow. But plowing, a normal person's house, a normal residential house, usually it doesn't matter how much snow there is, as long as it's not so much that you're getting stuck. Usually it's a real good idea at the beginning of the plow season to drive around to all your driveways and put these in. And they can be super helpful from keeping you from getting stuck or hitting something and damaging your plow. That it's well worth the time to go out around and do this. And you can't really, like some people you rely on the customer to do it. You can't really rely on the customer because they're not going to put them in the right spot. So, but let's talk about where the right spot is. So, I'm in this field here. You'd think, all right, there's nothing to hit here, so why would you need these? The reason I need these here, the problem that happens, and I've been plowing this driveway for years now, the problem that happens every year in this field, is this driveway kind of curves weird through the field, and you end up missing the driveway. Actually, what always ends up happening, you see how the driveway kind of curves to the left, then back to the right again, is on that curve on the right, I always end up driving through there. Now, which that's totally not a big deal, but what happens is, there's a lot of stone under this, and in the spring when the snow is melting, you're driving in the grass and it gets so muddy there, like cars and stuff end up getting stuck. And every year, the first time I brush hog this place too. Every time I brush hog it, I'm always fixing the ruts in the lawn. All right, so I'm back in that field, and so now you can kind of see here why you need those markers, because when you get to this field, all it looks like is a big white sheet, and you have no idea where the driveway is. That's why I always end up missing it.
Alright, so this one here kind of falls on driveway design. This guy just had this wall done this year, and I always used to plow the snow like way back here. There's no reason this wall couldn't have been over another 6 feet or so. This is like kind of one of the worst things to hit, because if you hit this wall, it's going to mess it up, and it's going to be really hard to fix. And it's low enough to the point where this will get covered by snow, and you'd never even see that this is here. So this needs to be marked pretty well. All right, that should be good. You know, I'll be able to see that. Here I am back to plow this one, and you can see this isn't even that much snow this time, and you can see how easily a wall like that can be hidden. So it's really good that these markers are here. So here's another type of obstacle that's really important to mark. This is something that's immovable, that's right on the edge of a driveway, and it's low enough to the point that you wouldn't see this. And hitting this could damage a snowplow. So one of these markers in here, and I usually set the markers so I know it's safe to plow right up to them. Like, I've seen people take these markers and stick them like here, which, you know, or out here, which I don't, you know, that doesn't make sense. Like, you put the marker, you can plow to the marker. All right, and so for putting these sticks in the ground, you know, the ground is already frozen right now, so there's no way you're gonna hammer or stick these into the ground. So what I usually do is I'll take a nail and hammer that in. And then that makes a hole where the plow marker can go right in. You wouldn't think this would need to be marked, but I have gotten stuck here before, and the reason you'll get stuck is because this looks super obvious, like, you know, don't drive in the hole and you won't get stuck. But the reason, what happens is, you know, say it's a winter where you've plowed 5, 6, 7, 8 times plus, and there's already a berm here. You don't know that where the driveway's dropping off, because there's already a mound of snow, you know, that's this high in this spot, and for all you could tell, the driveway drops off right here. So what I'll do is I'll be plowing, you know, trying to push the snow banks way back, because you don't know if it's going to be one of those years where it snows a lot, and you want to keep everything nice and wide, and then you end up getting stuck. So I'm going to go do a few more of these right now and show you a few places I've gotten stuck. Alright, here's a spot I got stuck last year here, because, you know, if this whole ditch will be full of snow, and Alright, here's another spot I got stuck last year. Trust me, this won't look like anything once it's full of snow. You'll think that's driveway there. Alright, so this hammer and nail was working decent in frozen dirt, but in frozen like gravel, it doesn't work so good. The nail just kind of keeps bending it on me. I mean, I'm getting it in like, you know, at least an inch or two, but and it's going in crooked. So I think what will work a lot better is a hammer drill with a masonry bit on it. So let's try that into the frozen ground. All right, so that works a lot better. So as you can see, you know, I'm able to get the thing in plenty deep. So Yeah, you're better off just carrying one of these around. You know, this is a corded one, so you know you can either bring like a small generator, or I'm sure they sell cordless masonry drills. But so next time I go out to put more of these in, I'll bring this with me instead. Alright, another thing you gotta watch out for is a lot of times when you get around people's buildings, they'll have like decorations or these solar lights. And generally with these, you know, people get annoyed when you plow them, but you're never gonna see this. So usually I just take stuff like this out and just tell the person, you know, put it back in the spring.